Tell me what the hell are you scared of when in the end the only
Where's the love? Right here on this podcast. Welcome to Love Drops, where your hosts and One Love ambassadors, Charles and Diane, will share love, hope, and inspirational topics taken from their journey and world events. We will also include on-location recordings and special pop-up guests from cool places all around the world. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
whether big or small, love never fails. Oh, love it conquers all. Love never fails.
Welcome to another episode of Love Drops Podcast, recording live from Paris, France. And we have with us a guest that's not new to the Love Drop podcast community. She has been a former guest, a supporter, a follower, a spreader, and all that jazz for the Love Drop podcast. And without further ado, Charles.
Yes, our guest today is an inspiration to folks around the world, especially students and those that are wanting to learn. With that said, let me turn the mic over to our guest, Jackie. Jackie, you have the mic.
Thank you, Diane and Charles. I am so excited to be back on Love Drops podcast. And I do love sharing your podcast with everyone because it's all about love and it's all about light. And that's what you do. And you spread it. And now you're spreading it in Paris, France. I am like so excited that you get to be in the City of Lights at the holiday season. And yeah, a little bit about me is I'm an educator. I'm a podcaster myself, about to launch a new podcast in the new year, The Jackie Scully Show. I rebranded it from The Teacher Story because I wanted to also have conversations about just about anything, big ideas about love, about faith, things that are part of my life that I connect guests with. And I'm going through a transformative journey, and I think those are going to be some things we talk about today. So thank you for having me on your show.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, Jackie. And so, for those that maybe are not quite familiar with you as we are, where are you located? And tell us a little bit about your background. Our listeners want to know.
Yeah, I'm in New Jersey, southern New Jersey, so like right outside of Philadelphia area. I grew up in the Philadelphia burbs, so I've been in the Northeast for a while. But my journey's been all over the world. I've really done a lot in education. So since I was a little girl, I always connected with kids, like even as a kid, and wanted to always like bring community in my neighborhood, in my schools. So I went into teaching and I decided to, my first teaching position, I went to Hawaii and I taught there. There was a lot of recruitment in the early 2000s. So I kind of just got that wave and loved it. Thought I was going to be there forever. Recession hit. It was very expensive. So made it back to the Northeast. And I've taught in public school. I taught in private school. And I've taught in the Northeast area. And then I taught for a little bit in China in a summer camp. So I've had quite the, varying experiences. But with that, during especially COVID, I saw a lot of teachers breaking down, feeling really sad, feeling a lot on their plate, not getting, the respect or even salary that they deserve. So I felt this call to make a podcast. I started listening to podcasts more, and I just felt there was a space that needed to be held for these teachers. So I created the Teacher Story and went on that journey for 2 years and just ended it this past summer. I loved that so much because it was so much more, as you probably both know, it was more than a podcast. It became a community. I made so many friends. It became the beginning of a big spiritual journey for me. I wasn't always connected with my faith. Grew up Catholic, went to church, did all that, but not fully connected until I did the podcast. I didn't know that that was going to happen. And I feel like just God knows where to find you. And so he brought all these wonderful people into my life. And then it was this journey of writing my own story, which I did a year later, called The Guided Teacher. And Diane especially was a huge inspiration, sharing her books with me. Such a uplifter of writing my own story, because that's really hard to do, to A,
Hmm.
just be a first time author, but to write your own story so intimately. And I wanted to share what I went through as like a student and then teacher, to really, have this place of where do we want to go in the future with our children and with education. And yeah, I'm still on that today. So today I left formal teaching, traditional teaching in June, and been on a journey of where is this path going, in my life. And it's not just been about a career. It's been huge. There's been a lot of transformations in my marriage, in my family, in my deeper spiritual growth. So, yeah, God always finds his way back to you.
Oh yeah, for sure, Jackie. And wow, I tell you what, that was a good segue and lead in to our conversation today,
Mm.
because we're going to talk about begin again. And I just feel like it's so important for us to take that pause and to just start again from where we're at. And once you start something, especially life, living, born, start racking up those numbers on the calendar year, you can never start over. So no matter how much you may desire to just start all over, you're going to start from here. You're going to start now. And the magic and beauty of that is you start with experience. So you start knowing a little more than when you started before, right? So we're going to talk about beginning again, and what that means and how that feels to each of us. So,
Mhm.
Charles.
Yes, a lot of folks, when they're starting over again, they're starting with a lot of experience. So they do have a platform to build from and continue to go from there. So if they would look at, well, what do I know now? And let me begin now and continue to move forward. That would be the giant step for them to go.
Yes. So, Jackie, you said you stopped teaching, just the traditional way back in June, which was a huge leap. I spoke to you as you prepared for that journey. I spoke with you in the process, preparation, as you were kind of concluding. And there was so much to consider. You had a lot of things to consider, because a lot of us don't want to begin again because of the security, the comfort, and just plain fear of the unknown, right? So it took a lot of courage for you to begin again. So let's talk about that journey some.
Yeah, thank you. I love this theme. And when you were first sharing that with me, I was like, oh, it's exactly what it feels like. And the growth from last year, like in the winter, spring to now, and how it's all unraveled, developed, all of it, I'm a completely different person, in the matter of 6 months since I formally resigned, but really like since January when I kind of already mentally made that decision and had actually my first conversation with administration at my school, kind of planting the seed of like, I'm looking at some other things in education. In the beginning, I was so particular. Like, it had to be this next thing in order for me to leave. So I was so focused on it's going to be an online school doing really creative stuff because I was interviewing people like that on my podcast. My podcast developed into holding space to share really hard stories to then innovation and all the cool things that are happening. And they call this like alternative education spaces. And I wanted to be part of that. I was excited. I was talking to these CEOs and founders of these awesome online schools. I thought that was it. And I think that is what God gave me to make the leap of faith. It wasn't about that job or that particular sector of education. It was, I don't think I would take the leap of faith and just resign and try something new or just begin again without something that I was kind of going for. So that was the first time. It was in May. I went through a really long job search and application process with this one school, went through all the rounds, didn't get it. And then the communication I got was like the most blanket email when all of the communication leading up was very personal and like I had them on my podcast. Like there was a relationship there and I'm like, huh, it was never about this job, and at that point I already resigned.
I need to jump in here to say that what you said, so profound and resonating, is that is what God used to pull you out. And beginning again, like I said, it's uncomfortable. And a lot of times we have to convince ourselves to take the leap because you're going from a known to an unknown. And that is scary as all get out, even though people feel like Charles and I are so fearless because we do it so much and what appears to be so effortlessly. No, you just don't see the effort. Trust, there is effort, but God will use whatever is necessary for us. Is like we're going to go to Paris, France, and we're going to write books and everything. And that was 10 years ago.
Mm.
So imagine how we saw it playing out and how it actually played out. Not the same. And I'm glad it didn't because we've added so many amazing people
Mm.
to the journey, so many more colorful, flavorful adventures to the journey that prepared us to boldly come over here and ride these trains and be in a place with a different language and different things. We were ready for it. 10 years ago, we were not ready like we are now.
So many times we hold ourselves back because we don't know how. We don't know the hows. And they should continue to build on what you do know. The hows will come. The hows will come. I love teaching myself. I love it. I love it. I love it. But how am I going to get what I would like to teach where about holistic health and things of that nature? Well, I don't exactly know how, but that hasn't stopped me from designing the various exercise techniques and things of that nature. So I'm
Mm.
continuing to move forward. The how will present itself. I'm just taking that leap. The how is going to come.
Yes, I really connect with what you just said there, Charles, and Diane too. Thank you for you have been there through a lot of these really hard steps in this journey. But I don't think I saw what other people saw me 2 years ago, where people started to say, like, you are a mentor, you are a coach, like you are an entrepreneur. And, even if you don't see it as a business, like doing a podcast, writing a book and presenting yourself in kind of this education reform space is like, your business. And I didn't see it that way. And I also am a snail. I am a slow learner. I am a learner. I love learning, but I have to move at Jackie's pace, which can frustrate a lot of people in my life. So people 2 years ago saw this in me, and I was so narrowly focused of like, this is what a teacher looks like, or this is just what the next thing in education looks like. Like maybe I do online education, maybe I do professional development. Every turn on this process has not been working out because I had to get to a point to find what I have in me, but really see it as like you talk about holistic education. That's what I've been talking about for years. And I want to fill those gaps that are, in the school system where like we're not seeing things that kids really need, that I need it, and that my brother needed, and that other friends of mine need it, that are still missing. And so a lot of these developments have been happening in this process. I'm still in a process of like, I would love to have just the security of a job and the income and all that and build this on the side. because it is something that is like a need in my family. And I'm getting closer to what that could look like because I'm also not just thinking about the job and title, it's the lifestyle. It's having space in my life to create a new podcast, to create a coaching program for teens. Like, I didn't have that space in traditional education. Like, actually doing that, doing a podcast, and then writing a book was really, really hard. And it was actually very hard on my body. And now being, like you talk about the calendar years, being in my 40s, I'm feeling it a lot more. I'm also feeling the energy within the traditional school space. Like I'm subbing right now in an elementary school for extra income. It is really hard on my body. Like I could understand that I am good with kids and I'm good with connecting with kids, but I'm seeing more and more that one-on-one or small cohorts or doing things where there's flexibility of being online is also helping me restore my health and there's balance that I want. I didn't understand this when I first took the leap of faith. I thought it was just again about a job. It was about, Jackie, no, you got to take care of your health. You need to have balance. You need to have space because you are a creator. We're all creators. We all have creative energy. And I tapped into that creative energy when I started my podcast, and then it just continued to develop. And then when I went back to full-time teaching, I was breaking down and I was losing my spark in teaching. And then I was also frustrated because I didn't have the space for what I wanted to create. And so there's just so many things unraveling and just also the aha moments are coming in like on a weekly basis. Like God and divine is with me like all the time. Like I feel it. And I know now 2025, 2024 was the building. 2025 is now I am cementing this new lifestyle and what I'm creating, what I've been trying to do for so many years. And yeah, maybe it does take, 10 years. Maybe it takes a couple years. Who knows? It's not about the time. It's just about continuing to work at it and to see that you have that light in you that needs to develop at your own pace and whenever it is
Yes.
ready.
Yes, that is so important at your own pace because we all will develop at a faster or slower pace. When you said Jackie's time, Charles was over here just jumping up and down because, his pace is slower than my pace. It's not a right or wrong thing. I think the right and wrong come in when he tries to get me to operate on his pace or me try to get him to operate on my pace. That's the right or wrong because neither one of them are right or wrong. They're Carl's pace and Diane's pace. And so together we have to find our pace and it has to be somewhere in between the slow and fast of the two of us, right? I also wanted to circle back to when you took your leap. When you
Mm.
take the leap, when you say, okay, once you put that resignation in, you're off the cliff, baby. I mean, boom, the door shuts behind you. I mean, sometimes you can go back through that door, but you don't want to. Once you take that leap, you're midair, you're flying, and there is no cliff, right? And that, in that space, that's the space where
Mm.
things really become clear because it's in that space that you realize, oh, maybe that job that I thought I was going to get teaching in the online community in that special new way is not what it's all about. Maybe it's not about a job at all. Maybe I was put out into this space to work on my total being, mind, body,
Mhm.
and spirit, right? And so you can't see that from the safety of a ledge because you will get distracted and you will get comfortable and you'll push it off. You will not be
Mhm.
forced to act. When you're in midair, you're forced to act. You're going to do something. You're going to do something because you have to get to that next landing. So if it's flail, if it's just fly, if it's fall and come up, whatever, it requires an action. You're forced to take action in that space from the leap. And you may be forced in a different direction that you thought, but it doesn't mean that it's a
Mm,
different direction from divine alignment
yeah,
because we
absolutely.
often see things differently.
Mm,
Charles.
Yeah, and that whole thing has to be according to Jackie and
yeah.
her directions. No one thinks in your head but you. So you'll have to do that. And
Mm,
as Diane was mentioning, in taking that leap, there may or may not be a safety net there, but you take that leap. You take that leap. It's like the wind blowing beneath your wings, and you can't change the wind, but you can adjust your sails and continue to go as you flow, as you're going
yeah.
forward. But it has to be according to Jackie.
Hmm. I
Yes.
think that's so important because my big lesson on this journey, and I think in life, and I do think a lot of people have this lesson, is comparison. So that is my Achilles heel. Like I compare. I have close friends that are moving at different paces, one slower, one faster, right? And then the one that's faster and really developing, I'm like, why am I not there yet? But that's again not my journey. And you don't know the whole, like you said, 10 years for you. I didn't know that. I didn't know why you were in Paris and that was a 10-year thing you put out there. Like you don't know someone's whole development up to that point of then when it looks like it just took off. Like people could look at whenever something takes off for me and they're like, wow, that just seemed to happen when it's like you don't know the whole story behind it. So for those that are very intimately close to you. And what made me think of even like this deeper mind, body, spiritual journey in midsummer, I was on another job interview track that seemed again to be like the thing, and I didn't get it. But in the interim, like before I found out the decision, God was speaking to me every day. Like I felt it. And I started to record these messages, and I was walking in nature because that's really like my church. And these messages were coming to me, not like I could hear, it was just in my being. And I recognized like my connection to God, to spirit, is really through my emotions and in my body, how I feel. Like I feel the message of unconditional love. I feel the message of acceptance. I feel the message of forgiveness. And I was speaking on this. So I started this series in the limbo phase of like not working, not getting any jobs. And I started, and I wasn't in the podcast anymore. So I started this Truth Peace series that I put on my YouTube. And it was the first time I was just doing something because it literally was just like happening. And I felt like that message needed to be shared. It wasn't like, oh, I started a podcast because I want to help teachers. Like this was truly like, it just was like, you have to do this, and you're in this limbo phase for a reason. And then this was coming through. And I did this up until pretty much the election. And then after the election, again, whatever side you're on, I felt like November was also a space where you needed to be there for people and to
Yeah.
hold light for people. And these messages were coming through August till November. And then I had two jobs come in that were just like, doing some tutoring and substitute work. So it just felt divine that God was like, you're going to do this in this limbo stage, and then it's going to end right after the election. And then, okay, we are going to give you some work because income is something that you need to have. Like the timing of it.
Yeah.
And it's like that deep in my faith so much. And then I had all these synchronicities and all these things happening. I felt called to go to this meeting house. Like it's a Quaker meeting house. My last school was Quaker. And I felt like I had to be the light there and just hold light and space for these people because many of them were grieving because of the election. Many of that community are like on the liberal side. And a lot of, I think, Quaker meeting houses are like that. Again, not to be political, it just felt like they needed some different person or energy or light in that space because I've never been there before. And I happened to go right around the election. So that felt weird. Not weird. It just felt like the things were happening like that. And
Yeah.
then I get this substitute job at an elementary school, and my whole background is high school. I didn't even
Right.
know how I got this job. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to figure it out. So many things were connecting with these kids. Right before this Christmas break, I got really sick. I lost my voice because you're talking so much, especially with little kids. And the day I lost my voice, I said, you could put me somewhere, but I can't talk. So maybe I'm an assistant or something. They're like, we're going to put you in special ed pre-K. I'm like, okay, so we'll try to figure this out. They're like, the assistant will be like the lead teacher. You just help out. Okay. In that class, there's a boy with severe autism who's mute, never spoke a word. He spoke a word that day.
Wow.
And the assistant got it on video. She's like, we're going to take a video for your teacher. Because I was like, the substitute. And he said, miss you on video to his teacher. And I'm going to like start crying now. Like, I'm like, how is this happening? This is crazy. I'm like, has he ever spoke before? They're like, no, not in class, like not like that. And
Wow.
I couldn't speak. And then it didn't hit me until I got home later that day because I just felt so sick. I was not feeling well. I really shouldn't have gone in that day. And I'm like, I didn't have a voice. And then he spoke that day. It's almost like, I don't know, all these things have been happening that no matter what happens, career, whatever, this is truly what it's all about. It's about feeling that connection to something higher than you and something bigger than you. And you are the vehicle. You have a service and you are the vehicle for whatever light needs to come through. It wasn't about me. It was just about I was put in this space and time, and now because I don't have the big job to be worried about or whatever, to be that vehicle of whatever needed to be sent through. And it's incredible. It's I don't know. I don't even have other words for it.
Wow. I mean, you hit on such key points there. First, I'm going to just circle back to the light. When we accept that we are light bearers, because we all have the capacity to bear light, we have the choice to choose that capacity and be the light. Okay, so when you are in full acceptance to that, then you're going to bring light to situations, and it's not with your permission because permission will not be asked. It will just, you will be guided, and your surrenderance will allow you to follow where you're being guided. For instance, this past Sunday here in Paris, we went to the Church of Sacred Heart. It's the Basilica, it's the Sacred Heart Church, is really big. And next to, you have the Notre Dame, and then you have the Church of the Sacred Heart that sits up on a hill that we can see from our apartment in the day and night, and at night it lights up. But anyways, last Sunday, just a big pull to go there and to get there before the crowd. And so we did that. And then after we went around all the stations and, just really took in the experience, we decided we're going to sit down and just kind of meditate and see what downloads and everything. And so we went to the very front of the church on the first pews. Now it's huge inside and there's lots of pews, and it was pretty much nearly empty when we sat, because the people hadn't all come in yet. And so I sit there and Charles sit next to me, and then I began to start, my meditation. All of a sudden, I hear somebody coming and sit plop right next to me. And I was just thinking, are you serious? I was pissed. I'm not going to lie, because I wanted to just have this time, right, where I just sit and, just in stillness and get my downloads, right? And that is not a part of it. And so I was a little flustered. And so I had to, just get still to be able to hear. And what resonated, what I felt, I heard it, but when you hear in a divine way, it's a different way than hearing just naturally, because it's an inner hearing, not so much like on the outside. It's like what you hear from the inside. And so what I heard, felt was, she is here because of your light. She
Mm.
felt your light. She saw your light. And so she chose to come and see. So be the light. And I'm thinking, like, really seriously? I'm like, it's kind of like you're powering up, but it's like, no, 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 no. You have to share, right? So in the end, I just felt myself kind of saying a silent prayer for the person next to me. I don't know who she was or what, but it was as a carrier of the light, you do not get to choose your assignments. You just have to go and be the light. So if you're going to go be the light, you have to go be the light when it's comfortable. You have to go be the light when it's not comfortable. You go be the light when you want to do it. And even when you don't want to do it. If you're going to be the light, then you have to just be the light.
Yes, there's several things that come out of our dialogue thus far. With Diane sitting there, the church was empty. She could have sat anywhere, but Diane's light was shining, whether she knew it or not, and the lady sat right next to her. So that was a divine connection that was supposed to happen. When
Mm.
you went to class there without a voice, but in a positive state of mind, it resonated and did something for that little boy as well. You didn't know it was going to happen, but it was there to happen. So as we continue to go forward, mind, body, spirit, emotions are touched, and they all come out one way or the other, whether we see it or not. So we go forward with our best intentions, and it'll happen the way it's supposed to happen. So just take it all in. And Jackie, you are that inspiration. You
Yes.
truly are.
Yes, you are. And I think we've spoken so many times. And so a dear heart, Michaela, we spoke with her right before we took off for Portugal. And in the conversation, these words came out and they still resonate so loudly within me. And it is, you will know, period. That's it. We make it so complicated when we're on a journey or when we're going to start again or just whatever. We always seem to go sometimes we just delve too deep. Sometimes we delve deep right through it. Like you go deep, so deep that you go right through it. You missed it all. It's over your head because you just took it so deep and you have to kind of pull back. So that's why on a journey, sometimes it's not always just straight ahead. Sometimes you have to pull back. Sometimes you have to step back to go forward.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have to pull back to launch off, right? So you have to be open to making those moves, however the flow leads you, but knowing that whatever is supposed to happen, you will know.
Yes. And Jackie, I have to ask you this. How did you feel when you learned about the little kid there hadn't spoke? You didn't have a voice, and yet you learned he spoke.
So it was so amazing when it happened, and then it hit me later, just like again, the symbolism of all of it. There was part of me that felt bad that the teacher wasn't there. So that was a feeling I had. I almost was like, oh, she should be here. I mean, I was like so grateful it was caught on video. And the kids, and they're pre-K, they're like 3, 4 years old, and they're special ed kids. They were all clapping for him. They were like, "Go, James!" And the joy. And someone said this recently that I talked to, that when we can find the joy, even when we're going through something really difficult. Here's me. I'm not feeling well. I lost my voice. I'm in this job that I'm like, I just need to make some extra money. It was not part of my plan to be substituting at an elementary school. And there was just so much joy in that moment and in that day. And these kids just had such a light in them. Like kids just show their light, they just do. And when kids don't show their light, when they're acting out, because I've also was dealing in these substitute days, there's behavioral issues, especially when you're a substitute. They're like, give the substitute a hard time. The kids that act out the most, they have light. It's just something's happening in their life that's dimming the light. And I understand that completely. I remember there was the one day there was this boy, I had to pull him to the hallway because he was just like nonstop acting up, talking, trying to get attention. And I pulled him aside and I said, I know what you're trying to do here. Like, you're not bad. You're not doing anything bad, but you're doing something to get attention and you're really disruptive to yourself and to others. And I know that you're better than this. Your behavior's better than this. And I just got down on his level and I just like talked to him straight. Like, I'm not going to talk to you like an adult looking down at you like a little kid. I'm going to talk to you straight. I'm going to get down on your level and I'm going to get real with you and I'm going to show you what I'm seeing and that we can move forward. We can do again. And then it wasn't perfect the rest of the day, but it was better. And I think there was the sense of someone can still see your light even when you're not really showing
Yes.
that light.
Yes.
And that's what we need to do with kids. Like, we all have light in us, but when we're little kids, we have so much. And we can also be rascals and really annoy adults.
Right.
But our language and how we talk to kids and how we treat them, that can really dim their light for a really long time. And then they could have issues later in life as adults. So this is not, I didn't know this is where I was going to go with my message, but it was just always finding the light, even in those hard times, and even sometimes with difficult kids, difficult adults, difficult situations. There's light there. And I think that's what God and Source and the universe is trying to get us to do and really do it more now because I'm seeing all the signs all the time is like continue to be the light, see the light, spread it. I mean, that is what I think we're supposed to be doing.
Wow, it is so interesting to me that we're having this conversation around the light. And, the topic is begin again, but then we just got into this flow of light.
Mm.
And Charles and I are here in Paris, the city of lights, right? And so as you're talking, and I'm talking, the conversation is going on, I feel like right before the election, we were still stateside, and I felt a strong, resounding, overwhelming feeling that you are going to have to elevate your life. You're going to have to take that frequency so high that it's just like, wow, I didn't know it could go that high, and take it further, even from that point. You're going to have to bring the light, right? And so I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go. And then we end up here where our light is being recharged by the city of lights, right? And so obviously it's taking root because when I go into the basilica, I'm sitting there and the light is being seen by this strange person as I want to just sit in my light, right? And just be still and be one. And the whole thing of it is our light is meant to be contagious. Our light is meant to illuminate someone else's light. Our light is meant to help reinforce the light of our children. So I do it with my
Mm.
grandchildren as much as possible. I just speak light and light. I tell them how bright they shine. I just speak to it. And they are being mischievous, as kids often do. Then I speak in love and I just bring it to them in from a place of just be kind, just be love. Not you should do this, you should, because our kids don't want to be spoke at. They want to be spoken to. They want to be heard. They want to be seen. And our light, if we just allow it to be the love, then we will be able to see our children and just we'll be able to see the hurt. We'll be able to just begin again and again and again, passing on our light.
Mm. Wow, that's so beautiful. That's so true. And maybe that's beginning again whenever we are going through a transformation and we're beginning again, but like what you said earlier, you're bringing all your experience with you. That's like your tools in your tool belt, right? Like your education, your work experience, your life experience. But each begin again is like a level up.
Yeah,
It's a level up, it's a higher vibration, it's more light. And you might have to go backwards a little bit and feel like, ooh, no, I'm not, but then that will, I think, make you maybe move a little bit faster. So there's been times in this journey, especially as I was starting these two jobs and I was all busy and stressed out again, and then I was getting sick. I'm like, whoa, now I feel like I took 10 steps backwards from the lifestyle that I wanted. But I think it's going to catapult then
absolutely.
into the new year. So sometimes when you have those moments of like feeling like you're going backwards, it's really maybe a reminder of how important it is to continue to work on this lifestyle that I want. It's like I did this temporarily and then I was like, oh my God, I'm, sick again. So I don't want to feel that way and to bring more balance. So yeah, that is, I guess it's like kind of what we're doing when we're starting again. We're just up level, more light.
It is. And Diane and I, we spoke about some of the methodologies that I would use when I was teaching and different things in holistic health, things of that nature. And I had to begin again and teach from a different perspective. And what came out of that was different course designs, different points of views that I was making, creating things for a broader scope, if you will, for the audience and things of that nature. And on and on. And from all of that, beginning again, came the advent of several new books, different approach to things I'd written 10 years ago, revamping those and on. And it's a new beginning. Some of the materials might be old, but tweaking, it became new, a new beginning for all of it. And I say, wow, would you look at that? I've started writing 3 new books.
Since we've
Wow.
been in Paris.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's
Yes.
That's so cool. Wow.
yeah, it is totally phenomenal.
It is definitely
Yeah.
creative here.
Mhm.
The light
Yeah.
and vibration and frequency
Oh, I'm sure.
it's like it's on point. We even went we took our creativity to the Shakespeare and Company bookstore and they had a reading room and I literally grabbed a book on how to relax and sat there and read the book from cover to cover and then I bought it and so when you buy a book at the Shakespeare and Company, they stamp it with their stamp. So I now, as a published author twice and working on the third time, have a book from Shakespeare and Company. So I went and sat in the place and they have like this wall of fame. And so you get to see Maya Angelou, you get to see Langston Hughes, you get to see James Baldwin, you get to see all of these
Mm,
big time writers that were there. They came to this bookstore, like maybe where I sat, one
that's
of
so
them
cool.
sat in that space. And the cool thing about the frequency and just the different vibrations
Mm,
is you can feel the energy. And I guess the best way to say it is even the air is different
mm,
in those
hmm.
places.
That's
Even the
interesting.
air is different.
Wow. Wow. That reminds me of when I went to Scotland, and now Scotland's been coming around again this year too. In 2012, I sat in the cafe, I think it was called the White Elephant Cafe or Elephant Cafe, where the author wrote all the Harry Potter books.
Yeah.
She wrote her first Harry Potter book in that cafe, like on like napkins or like in like a little journal. And I remember sitting in there and feeling that vibe of like creative energy. And so funny, like at that moment, I never thought that I would be an author. But then, like, again, years later, about 10 years later, I was like hit with the idea of I want to write a book. And now you just inspired me because I want to write a second book. I know there's at least 3 books in me, but I want to write a second book. And it may be about this journey and maybe about what we're talking about. It's definitely going to be about I'm going to go deeper into the story of like my faith and everything because I kind of touched on it a little bit in my first book, but I think everyone has their timing of when they awaken or when they get spiritually connected, but I think people really are like yearning for that. I
Hmm.
think there's a space and a time for having these bigger conversations. But yeah, I think being around both of you, I could feel your light. I could feel your inspiration. Now you're just inspiring me. I feel like we're charging each other. It's like
Yes,
a
for sure,
battery.
for
We're just
sure.
charging each other.
For
Yes.
sure, for sure. And I wanna kind of stick with your journey a little bit more because you resigned in June. We're here now recording in December. So where are you in your process of beginning again? Be it with professionally, personally, spiritually, however you want to come from. So it doesn't have to be one or it can be all. Where are you, Jackie? Where are you?
I'll speak about all three because I think they're all coming together here in this Christmas time. Spiritually and like, I guess energetically, I am more comfortable. I'm still a student in this earth school, but I'm more comfortable with surrender. And I'm really getting into that energy of deeper surrender. I kind of fought that surrender early on in the summer and even into early fall. And I was kicking and screaming a little bit. I was kind of having a tantrum in that surrender. But now I feel a grace and I feel a relaxation in the surrender because I think I've seen all of these signs, from God and all of that. Like, I get it. Like, I'm starting to see the puzzle pieces. I think health wise, especially after getting over sickness and then getting my husband sick from this job, is really focusing on health and wanting to have a deeper commitment to my health and balance and continuing to figure my way out with lifestyle, with whatever the job that appears. I am like career wise, professionally, I feel like I'm getting closer to what could be like a job, but then also working on what I want to do as a coach and work with teens. And now that only hit me at the end of November. Like, that's how long, again, I'm a snail. I move so slow. People saw this in me 2 years ago. I go through all this transformation, and it wasn't until the end of November. I'm like, oh, I could be a coach. Like, I had to feel it in my body. So now it feels really real. And I have the energy now to do it because I have some time off right now. So I want to be working on my website for that. I already had a parent email me over the break from a former student at my last school and wanted to share news that her son got into the University of Pennsylvania. And I was his teacher and advisor. I wrote him a letter of recommendation. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. That was his top school. She asked me how I was doing. I told her about what I plan on, creating. She's like, I will share that with parents. I will spread that out. I'm like, okay, like I got something going on here. Like,
Yes.
once I have it and ready to put it out there, like I have a lot of connections in the parent community. I've always had wonderful relationships with parents. So that's a whole other community I'm tapping into, out in education is the parent community. So that might be, yeah, we'll see. I'm very excited about the new year.
That is so amazing. And then I know that you're revamping your podcast, so you're beginning again with your podcast.
Yeah.
So when should we expect that first episode?
I plan to have it out in early January. I was going to do it on the first, it's going to be on Fridays and bi-weekly. I think I'm going to have it out for Friday, January 10th, because that feels a little bit more realistic. I have actually already like 10 episodes recorded, which is really great. I think I used that space, that container of the fall of not working. And it just happened where I got like a bunch of recordings done. So now all I have to do is just like edit, get it out there. It's just called the Jackie Scully Show. I have conversations with people that are very close to me to people that are new connections there's still a lot of education focus, but we talk about love, we talk about surrender, we talk about faith, we talk about just new ways of, thinking about how we want to live
Mm-hmm.
life.
Yeah.
That's where I wanted to go a little bit more deeper and meta in these conversations and not because I took myself out of the box of what I am in a career and identity and title. I wanted to have my podcast reflect that too. So it's just, and whenever I jump on a call, or a recording, it just goes wherever it needs to go. And there
Awesome.
isn't really a script kind of like this. It's like, here's a general theme. Let's see where it goes. Because I think authenticity is another big theme
For
right now and
sure.
moving into
For
the
sure.
future.
For
Yeah.
sure. If I would have sent you questions, or if we would have just stayed to a thing, we never would have got to the little boy who
Never.
spoke. We never, because
Yeah.
how would you know to mention that, and how would I know? But the flow knows. And so the flow takes us where it is we need to go, right? January 10th is my mom's birthday. Shout out, Mom. Happy birthday on this
Yeah.
part.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so that would be just
Actually,
great.
that feels right now. All right. You
Yeah.
solidified it.
We
Yes.
just talked about parents because I think your mom has a birthday coming up tomorrow
Tomorrow.
from this recording.
Mm.
So shout out to Jackie's mom. And
Yes. Happy
Yay! Happy
birthday,
birthday.
Jackie's mom.
yeah, that's so cool because that's how the flow and synchronicity works. We're recording this the day before your mom's birthday. Then you say, oh, I'm going to drop it on the 10th, which is my mom's birthday. So that's pretty cool. And I'm excited to spread the word on the Jackie show. I'm excited to be a guest because I know I
I
will be.
would love to have you both on.
So
Yes. Gotta
yes,
make
and,
that
and
happen.
yes,
Yeah.
and this time it will be Charles and I because I think I was on the teacher story.
Oh.
Yes.
So we would
Yeah.
love to
Mm.
be a guest on your podcast. So we'll make that happen.
Yeah.
And speaking about teaching and teachers, wow. Yeah, right up my alley. I love it. I love it. I love it. And you spoke earlier about teachers not being appreciated, not being a recipient of the monetary awards that teachers, quote, end quote, should be receiving, and on and on and on. Shout out for the teachers.
Shout out
Yes.
to the teachers. Yes. And I think that's going to change in the future too. I think the more we are doing these podcasts, we're talking about things. I think there's a lot of service-oriented professions, nursing, right?
Yeah.
Healthcare. These are, I think, in this new the age of Aquarius. I love
Yeah.
it. Follow astrology like I do. I love astrology, but this is going to be, I think, the era where those service-oriented, or really anything where people are giving back from their heart space, from their light. I think it's going to be elevated.
Yeah.
So I feel it.
Yes, and you spoke earlier about teaching the kids, the young kids, and that is phenomenal because that's a challenge and it is needed in those areas, as well as teaching seniors and older adults. Yeah, I've been
Yes.
yeah, I've been working in those areas for years and love it, love it, love it. And I have to say this, my oldest student is 101 years old.
He'll be 102
Wow.
coming up.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
He'll be coming up on
amazing.
102.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still in touch with him
Yes.
on a regular.
And he's lucid.
Lifelong learning.
He's
Yes.
Well, because
lucid.
you're learning. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
lucid, and that is such a key, the learning. When we stop learning, we stop living. When we
Yes.
stop being open to new, we stop living.
Yeah.
It's just like I think you get comfortable, then it's like you don't want to make mistakes. And I think when you give permission to yourself and others to make mistakes, right? To make mistakes, then that's a learning process and it makes it more in flow. Charles and I are learning this transit system, the metro system here in Paris has been hilarious and it has
Yes.
been so fun. We have gotten on so many wrong buses, trains.
Trains.
Yeah, and we don't trip. We just like, oh, this is the wrong train. We'll get off on the
We'll
next
get off on
stop.
the next stop.
We go over, we get on the right train, right? And having that mentality takes so much stress. We said maybe it's part of the journey. Maybe this is how it's supposed to be. Maybe we're
Yeah.
supposed to get on the wrong train for whatever, the reason. But we just don't make a big issue. We take it all in stride.
Yes, you
Yeah.
take it all in stride, continue moving forward. And when folks are saying they don't have enough time for this or for that, We all have the exact same amount of time every day,
Mm,
1,440 minutes. And it depends on how you divide it, how you let, what do we call them? Some of the time stealers
Yeah,
come in and steal your time.
time snatchers.
Time snatchers. Yes, you got to watch out for those folks. Yeah,
Time, yeah, they'll come and just like Pac-Man, just take, but you are the guardian of your time.
mm,
You are the protector of your space, of your peace. And we would be amiss if we concluded this conversation about the light without bringing up that there are light snatchers, right? There are people that come, they want to overshadow your light.
hmm
There are people that
hmm
come and they want to suck your light. Like they see your light and they want it. So they want to just suck the light
Yeah.
out of you. And it is up to each of us to protect our
hmm
light, to put boundaries around our light, as well as for us to mind our light. You know, yes, we do go into situations that are dark or maybe toxic, but just be sure that you're led to go into
hmm
that
That's a big one.
situation and that you're not trying to be a savior or a fixer, because that is the easiest way to just really drain your light charge. It is putting
Yes.
yourself in places and situations to save or fix a situation.
Yeah.
That's not what we're here for. We're not here to save the world. We're not here to fix the world. We are here to be the change that we want to see. So we're
hmm
here to spread love, right? But I can't make you take it. I can only
Yes.
offer it to you. I can bring it to you, and you can tell me to get out of your face. I mean, you had a, yeah.
That's really true. That's so true. And that's a really important message to end with because when we talk about light and love and all of that, it just sounds like people who are going to just go do that for every single person in every situation. And I like the message of being led to it because you can still be in a hard situation. Like, again, substituting is hard. And it's taken a lot of my energy. And I think it's only for a short amount of time. But there was light that needed to be spread there. I was in every single grade, pre-K to fifth grade in 3 weeks.
Wow.
That's incredible. Almost every single classroom, too. That means I've literally looked at or spoken to almost every kid in that school in 3 weeks. So I'm like, I get it, God. I get it. I was here for whatever amount of time. And that's why I feel like something is coming on the other side very soon. But we do have to protect our light and we have to recharge when we feel it dimming because, like they always say, you can't pour from an empty cup. And you
That's
can't,
right.
if you got too much shadow that has been attracted to you and now you're in that shadowy place, then you can't then give that light. So you always have to go back to the balance of everything. And you
Yes.
have to be very aware of where you're going to be able to spread your light and where you're not going to be able to. And then just pay attention to
Absolutely.
signs.
Absolutely.
God, the universe is always sending you signs and will protect you, but you have to be open and aware to be like, oh yeah, I'm not going there. That is not where my light's
Absolutely.
going. Or I
Absolutely.
tried that. I dipped my light in that area. Nope, that's nope, nope. And cleansing your own energy is really important. Like when you come home from a very public, busy area, or it feels very dense on you, like you can meditate, you could take a bath, you could take a shower, I also use like cleansing crystals that you can kind of hover over you. You can use sage. Like these things can sound like woo-woo to some people, but really energy is physics, it's a science,
Yeah.
and we have energy that we take on from other people and other situations, and then it
Oh,
becomes our own energy. And that's why we feel icky when we
yes.
don't know maybe why we feel icky.
Yes. And I'll tell you this, if I find myself in a space and I feel like I have picked up something, because I'm just heavy and there's no reason for me to feel what I'm feeling, then I will open up the windows and baby, I'll get the sage and Charles will just crack up. But I will clear my
Yeah.
space. And if you believe it, then you know. If you don't, then you don't. And hey, whatever floats your boat. But that's float mine. And that's what I do. I clear my space. Yeah.
Yes. And when Diane was mentioning about the sage, at one time, one place we were at, she had saged so much and it was so heavy, the alarms went off. So if there was any negative in there, it was gone.
I had forgot to open the windows. In all
Yeah.
fairness to me and the smoke detectors. Yeah, I
That is
did,
so funny.
but I open windows now. But
Yes.
before we get to Charles's favorite question, Jackie, what inspiration would you like to leave our audience, our listeners with from just beginning again, just from your journey to, beginning again?
Thank you so much. This has been such a joyful and light-filled conversation, and I just love being in your energy. I will not have to sage after this. This is good energy I'm feeling. But I would say, because my beliefs aren't your listeners' beliefs, and I can't just say like, oh, believe in God, He's leading your way. Whatever you believe in, just know that you are held and cared for by your higher self or by your community, your family, whatever lights you up. And you can take that leap of faith. You can do it. There will always be an energy, a higher power if you believe in that, and community to support you. And one thing that I have really leaned into is asking for support and help when I needed it, and having that come from a real place of humility. And practicing humility is really hard, especially when you're a person who's always been in control. But when you do, it deepens your relationships with people. And I have gotten so much closer to my husband and my family and my friends and all of you, like everyone in my community. I have such a deeper appreciation for the relationships that I have. And so you will always have that, even if you think you can't do it. Something will show up to guide you and hold you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
That really resonated. And now,
And now,
and now, and now I have a final question for you, Jackie. What is some of the best ways or way for our listening audience to get in touch with you?
Oh, thank you. I had no idea what the question was going to be. I was like, I wonder where this is going. Yeah, the best way to get in touch with me, reach out, is I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I'm taking a little bit of a sacred pause, but I will be back there a lot in January as I like get my podcast ready. So Jackie Scully on LinkedIn. You can find me on my website, jackiescully.com. You can email me at jackie.c.scully@gmail.com. I have a lot of C's and dots because there's a lot of Jackie Scullys in the world. A funny thing is, it's my married name, but I am part Irish, so it's a very Irish name. There's so many Scullys, like especially in obviously Ireland, but in the Northeast. And my husband would be like, "Oh yes, the Scullys are like rabbits." They just keep producing. I'm like, there's at least like 5 Jackie Scullys that I have come across. I'm like, there's so many. Like, why is there so many? So it's just a funny thing. But yeah, reach out and check out the podcast coming out on January 10th, The Jackie Scully Show, and check out more of the love drops. Love this podcast so much. Keep listening. It is a great one, fills you up. So yeah.
oh, Jackie, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And as we end, I must read what's on your shirt right now. I know what it says, but I want to read it to our audience. And it says, do everything with kindness. Do everything with kindness. So as you go forth and you begin again, do everything with kindness. And with that said, we're going to go ahead and conclude. We thank you for hanging with us and listening in on the show. We ask you to subscribe, support, and share the love drops with everyone that you know. We are coming bigger and stronger with more light in 2025. So hang in there. We got big treats. And as we always say,
One love.
Never a second will I waste. Never an opportunity to taste the sweetness of this life.
Thank you for tuning in to the Love Drops podcast. Be sure to follow this podcast and share the love with everyone you know. Until next time, this is Charles and Diane signing off. One love. One love.
Love it conquers all, whether big or small. Love never fails. Oh, love it conquers all. Love never